Hi everyone. My name is Kaiya Milan. You may know me from Floor. I am behind the scenes working with the team. I work as the CEO currently, and today I'm going to be doing a workshop on the creator to fan narrative. It's something that I think a lot of people have struggled to comprehend during this sort of strange year that we've had. It's now a year. It's very odd, but how to connect with fans from a digital space, how to connect with people without obviously being able to connect with people physically. If you're an artist, how to connect with your fans without being on stage, and just I guess the overall sort of creator to fan ecosystem. So I'm going to go through, I guess, two parts to this presentation today. So the first part is going to focus on understanding your why, developing your brand, understanding your narrative, and then the other side is going to be on working on your creator brand Bible. So the first part, I'm going to just share a presentation quickly, so bear with me. Share my screen. It's going to look very awkward for a second. I'm going to open up this one from the start. So it's just a title page. So the first thing is about connecting with your audience authentically. I think that a lot of people struggle and try to come up with a cool and unique way to approach their fans, but a lot of the time it comes across inauthentic and not necessarily true to who you are as a creator. I think, first of all, understanding who you are, why you do what you do, and what your ultimate purpose and your goal is in connecting with your fans is going to be an important thing, which I'll go into slightly later in the presentation. But I think the first thing that we just need to sort of unpack is what is authenticity and how do you connect that authenticity with your audience. So the first thing I would say is, again, start with your why. I'm going to go into a sort of wider sort of diagram on that. So who are you? That's quite a loaded question. But who are you outside of your artistry, outside of your creativity? Who are you? What do you align with? What things do you invest your time and your energy in? What types of people do you seek to align yourself with on a personal level? And no matter whether or not you're a brand still has a brand identity, and that identity is who that brand is at its core. So if you're a creator, I think that's slightly easier because you are a person within yourself. I think understanding why you've chosen to do what you do, why you have chosen to be a creator, what drives you within creativity, and how you choose to sort of navigate that space is going to be part of your who and who you are. Then we go into sort of developing your brand. So from who you are, I think going into a space of aligning with your message, aligning with your purpose, and then developing your brand and your brand strategy from that as a foundation is going to be really important. So developing your overall sense of you, I'd say. So how do you post? How do you engage with your audience? How often do you engage with your audience? I think, again, there is going to be, I guess, a weird balance between how much you might feel like engaging with your audience, but then how often do you engage with your audience based on who you are? So, for example, myself, I might not feel like talking to people every day, but I am outside of the floor, I'm also an artist manager, and therefore I have to interact with people on a day-to-day basis. So in terms of my brand, you might say, and my brand identity, I engage with people on a day-to-day basis, and therefore it makes sense for me to connect with my audience base on a day-to-day basis, whether I feel like it or not. So I think it's kind of stepping outside of what you feel, the emotional side of it, and going more into what is on brand for you. And if you're an artist, say, and you're trying to be very elusive, it might not make sense for you to constantly be on Instagram Live shouting about what you ate for breakfast. But if you're, I guess, more of a girl next door, you might feel like I might need to show these parts of my life. I might need to enter that sort of personal space in order to connect with your fans. And I think it's going to differ depending on, again, who you are and what your brand message is, what you're choosing to align with, what you're not choosing to align with, and how you want to sort of navigate that ecosystem. So this is not necessarily a one size fits all. It's definitely going to be based on who you choose to represent yourself as, essentially. So I'm going to go into understanding your narrative. Forgive me if I'm speaking slightly too fast. I am talking to a screen right now. So I hope that I'm not speaking too fast for you guys. But yeah, going into understanding your narrative. So I guess it is the who behind what you do, but it's also the story and connecting your story to your audience. I think that one of the things that people forget is that they are more than just their brand. They are more than what even they represent online. There is a whole sort of history. There's a whole like bunch of years that you've been on this earth, and incorporating that into obviously your Instagram profile is not necessarily going to translate well to catch someone up on 25 years of your life. But in order to connect with your fans, I think unpacking some of your story, some of your narrative is going to be really important for that creator to fan connection. And just like any sort of relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, there is going to be a sort of a catching up on, a getting to know, and getting to know your audience is the same as getting to know a person. Each audience member is a person, and they have likes, they have dislikes. There's going to be things that they do like about you, there's going to be things that they don't like about you. Just like any other relationship. And I think that we all have like a favorite YouTuber or a favorite Instagram person. You might really dislike when they do a particular thing. But again, they are a brand, and they're going to be doing things that are trying to engage with their audiences, just like you connecting with your fans. There are going to be things that you choose to do, that you might not choose to do necessarily in a professional space, but you want to engage with your community as an authentic, original individual. So I think understanding your narrative is going to be really important. Understanding, again, why you do what you do, where you've come from, what are the foundations for entering the creative industry that you've chosen to enter into, and how do you see yourself navigating through that space, and also what are your goals, what are your objectives, and what is your message, your overall message, and your overall theme for every time that you interact with someone, every time that someone enters your page or anything that represents you. What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to understand? What do you want them to walk away with? What do you want them to tell their friends about who you are? And that is going to essentially be the foundations of developing that creator to fan narrative and relationship. So it's one of my favorite sort of diagrams. It's called the Golden Circle, and it's taken from Simon Sinek's book, which is Start with Why. You put why at the center. And what I encourage the people that I work with, my clients, to do is to put why in the middle of a page and say, why do you do what you do? And write all the things that all of the reasons why you do what you do. And then you sort of branch out slightly, and then you look at that list of things, and then you say, okay, so how am I going to demonstrate my why? So how am I going to accomplish my why? And then you write a whole bunch of stuff below that, which is essentially how it's come up on my page mostly. Is you put a sentence at the beginning, you go into the how, and then you go into the what. So what demonstrates your why? I'll explain that again just in case that was confusing. So you start with why. Why do you do what you do? How are you going to show what the why? It's a lot of whys and whats. How are you going to show what your why is, and then what within your sort of artistic or character profile, what demonstrates your why? So it's all to sort of, I guess, continue to build and develop your narrative, but I think those three steps are going to be really important in understanding why you do what you do, and how you're going to show it, and then what you're going to use to show it. So I hope that makes sense. Again, if anyone wants to kind of speak to me afterwards, please feel free to ask some questions. I'm going to leave room at the end for questions, just in case that is slightly confusing. So then we're going to go into a sort of brief segue into branding yourself in the digital age. So branding has changed ultimately, again, not just through COVID, but through all these sorts of digital platforms that have been created, whether that be TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, even Facebook. How do you keep interacting with Facebook? Whether you use your digital, whether you use your digital sort of ecosystem to unpack who you are and what you do, and how, again, how you do what you do. So a lot of people wonder what platforms you're supposed to be on. Whoops, my headphones are falling out. A lot of people wonder what platforms you're supposed to be on and what is going to kind of bring you the most engagement with your fan base. Again, that's going to be based on your message, why you do what you do, what your overall vision is for your purpose as a creator. I would say that, using social media as an anchor is really important, but ultimately you want to lessen the noise. The digital sphere is very noisy, and when I say noisy, I mean it's very saturated with a lot of creators, a lot of people trying to say a lot of things, and that doesn't matter whether you're on Clubhouse or Instagram. There's a lot of things coming up on people's feeds, and it's very hard to sort of isolate people's attention. And even whether or not you create engaging content, I think, of course, engaging content is going to increase that direct sort of attention that you have, but it's not necessarily going to be the only way. So I really do honestly believe, and this is, again, not just because I work with the Floor, but it's, I think, a platform that is a specific direct to fan communication tool is going to be really important for developing that fan base, and also really honing in on who your true fans are, the people that want to engage with you. And that's why influencers are encouraged to do like Q&As on their pages. It's to continuously re-engage with your audience. And I think that the only way, especially in this sort of noisy social sphere that we find ourselves in, is to isolate your audience and bring them to somewhere where you can have like a more sort of honest, authentic space to have communication. And that's why a lot of artists like to engage with their fans at shows. Amanda Palmer, who we've spoken about before within the Floor space, but Amanda Palmer is one of Patreon's pioneer creators on the platform. And she, after every show, she would stay and she would talk to people and she would engage and until all times of night. And that's because that's the sort of only space that she was able to have that one-to-one, honest, authentic communication with her fans. And I think that in developing that sort of narrative with your audience, it means that they get to know you as who you are, your honest sort of version of yourself, not the social media version, but that one-to-one kind of communication, which I think is really important in developing an honest relationship with your fan base. So yeah, lessen the noise in the digital age, I think, is a real key factor. So this goes into another space, which is finding your hedgehog. And I'll explain it. So this is an idea that comes from Jim Collins's book, Good to Great. And so you kind of focus on sort of three areas, which are: what are you most passionate about? What can you be your best at? And what drives your economic engine? So what I mean when I say what are you most passionate about is what drives you, what drives your spirit, what drives your ambition, what drives your message. So that's what are you most passionate about. And that might not even be the thing that you're promoting on a day-to-day basis. Like, I could be, say I'm an artist and I could be super passionate about rollerblading. So I'm going to use that as part of my hedgehog, essentially. And that's what I'm most passionate about, rollerblading. And then you can say, what can you be best at? So what I could say, again, in this character that I'm playing, I am an artist, I enjoy rollerblading. What can I be best at? I can be best at, let's say, doing my makeup. I should say, so I'm an artist, love to rollerblade, and I could be best at doing my makeup in my sort of my Hedgehog space. And then what drives my economic engine? So when I say the economic engine, I mean, what is the thing that you do that can make you money? And monetizing, again, connecting with your fans. We can talk about it in the space of just connecting with your fans in a real, honest and authentic way. But again, if this is your career, if this is your passion and the thing that you are going to use to essentially earn out of, having that sort of space of what drives your economic engine is going to be very, very, very important. So what drives my economic engine as my artist character would be my music. So I'm passionate about rollerblading. I can be best at doing my makeup, and my music will drive my economic engine. So how can I connect all those spaces? Now, it's probably going to be within that is going to be probably something to do with TikTok, just based on the example that I've used at the moment. But TikTok would allow me to demonstrate my passions through using my music, and say the thing that is my economic engine driver. So my music, I can use my music as an audio bed to my rollerblading passion, let's say. And I can also use my music as a way to as an audio bed to my my makeup tutorials, let's say. And that essentially would be my hedgehog. That would be the thing that keeps my engine, let's say, my engine moving. And it's the way that I can also use my economic engine driver, use the thing that I'm best at, and use the thing that I'm most passionate about to connect with my audience, connect with my fans, and ultimately earn from the things that I'm doing. So that's just an example. Don't know how great an example that was, but if you'd like me to give another one, I will do. But that's how I how I would find my hedgehog in this sort of diagram. So I think it's really helpful, because when I'm trying to figure out things to do on a platform, whether that be for an artist or a client that I'm working with, I think finding the things that you're ultimately passionate about, and the things that you can do best, and the thing that will drive your economic engine is going to be really important in figuring out just what content to create. Why would the content be engaging? How does that content relate with the other things I'm trying to do within my career? I think that all those things are really important in further sort of unpacking and understanding how to connect with your fans, again, authentically, honestly, and genuinely. So that's just, again, one example. So now we get into the fun part, which I've never explained to anybody before. I've only done a few myself. So this is going to be interesting. So this is developing your creative brand Bible. Now, as you'll remember, I said start with your why. This is, I guess, the real deep version of your why, all in a presentation. And I'll give you the sort of foundation of what this presentation the second presentation I'm going to go into, I'll give you the foundation about what it's about. Your creative brand Bible is going to be the thing that people use as the basis for who you are, how to connect with you, whether that be brand partners, again, collaborators, endorsements, sponsorships, anyone that's going to work with you, even if that's a makeup artist or a hairstylist or a whoever, a producer or video director. If you give them the ultimate foundation to your artistic or creative identity, it's going to really help them use that as a springboard for anything that they're going to do with you. And I think some people overlook this as like, oh, that's not that important, I can just explain it. I'll say one thing: when you say something, no matter how impactful it is, people will forget. Like, unless it's one sentence, but people will forget what you say. People will forget how you said it. Even if you say something with passion and with energy, people forget. And that's just because, we're human. So giving someone something that they can look back on, that they can reconnect with, that you wrote yourself, that you poured your energy and all of yourself into, it's going to be really helpful in them navigating that space and ultimately all the drivers that you use to connect with your fans, whether that be music videos or creative content, or even just the way that you do your hair or the clothes that you wear when you're presenting that content, it needs to start from an overall foundation. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what that looks like or know even where to start. So I've done a template of what a creative brand Bible will look like. Now, I've put brand Bibles together, and they maybe become slightly more comprehensive than what I'm going to show you now. But this is, again, like a basic sort of foundation and an outline for you to use and start off from. So if you would like me to send you a PDF version of this, please message me on Instagram, drop me a message, drop me your email address, and I will send it over to you to use and create your own. And I'd love to see them when you're done. So let me skip to the next presentation, which is here. And okay, so we're going to go into the Creative Brand Bible, and this I've created for artists. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm an artist manager. My background is in artist management, so this is a thing that works for me, but I don't necessarily think that this brand Bible has to just work for artists. I think it can work for any creator across the board. So if you're not an artist necessarily, use this as a rough template to well, you'll see, to what you do essentially. So the first thing I'm going to show you is these are sort of 6, I guess, core themes that will be in your creative brand Bible. So it will start off with a cover page or first photo, then it will go into your core artist ideology, and then it will go into album vision boards. So again, if it's not an album, it might be a piece of content or something similar. And then it will go into a style mood board, and then brand partner targets. And again, no matter whether you're an artist or not, brand partners are really key things within any sort of campaign or any sort of artistic creative space. And then it will have a closing page. So again, I don't want to lead you up the wrong path. There are not just 6 pages to this, but there's 6 sort of key and core themes that we'll be sort of looking at throughout the entire Creative Brand Bible. So let's start off on the first page. So it will start off with a album name and an artist image, again, creator image. That would be your first sort of opening page. And I think that artist image or that creator image needs to be really strong. It needs to be really representative of who you are, what you represent, whether that be through the imagery or your clothes or just the color scheme. It just needs to be very impactful. So whatever image you choose as the first photo for your cover page, make sure that it is iconic, striking, and impactful, and represents your overall brand and your narrative as a creator. Whether that be an album that you're promoting or a project, it would be the album or project name at the top. And then you would go into the artist's core ideology. So I'll say your social narrative serves as a foundation for your artistic vision and mission. It's really, it says it right there. It is a foundation for your vision and your mission as a creator. Your core ideology, creator ideology. So it will start with your creator name, and on one side it would have a creator image. So how I've done this in the past is that I've put that creator image as a background. So I've used background images to sort of represent the overall sort of style mood board for what the project or the campaign that I'm trying to represent. So I would start with 4 pillars. 4 key pillars of your creator core ideology. So whether that be, it could be community, it could be love, it could be spirituality, or anything that aligns with you, what are your four key pillars? And that goes back to what we spoke about before, which is starting with your why. Why do you do what you do? What are the core essences of your overall message and the thing that you're trying to communicate with your fans? This is really important. I think no matter if you do a brand Bible or not, understanding your four key pillars as a creator will again serve as the foundation for your vision and your mission, but also it will help you create content. It will help you know who to follow, the things that you align with, the things that you don't align with. Again, I said social media is very noisy, and we often lose ourselves in the sort of social mess. And you might be following accounts that we all do it, which we follow accounts, and then especially during the lockdown, you're scrolling through your phone, and you're like, why am I following this person? And again, that's because of the noise. That's because we don't necessarily always follow people that align with our core pillars and our core foundations as people, even whether you're a creator or not, as people. And I think that's going to be really important if we as individuals understand what our pillars are, and then we move into sort of a creative space or an artistic space. We're going to use that as a foundation for everything that we do. So I think just understanding that as individuals is really important. So yeah, that's the artist core ideology page, and it doesn't have to look like this. This is just, again, like a template for you to use, for you to change and adapt whatever works for you. And then we go on to, so again, I've put this as 2.2. I warned you it was not just 6 pages. So I would go into another page. So after you outline the 4 core ideologies, you would go to a next page which had the pillar name and an image that represents that pillar. So what I've put here is create a slide to illustrate each pillar. So that's pillar 1, name and image, pillar 2, name and image, and so on. And then that will obviously take you over 4 pages. I would say if you do come up with more than 4, that's fine, but I would really try to condense them down into 4, because that just makes it kind of quick and snappy in your head about the things that you align with. It means that other people can kind of use those as like foundations to kind of create off of, whether you're collaborating with someone or working alongside with someone in terms of like partnership. So I just think 4 kind of quick and easy, and it's things that people can remember and memorize. So yeah, if there is more than 4, not to worry, but just try. So yeah, pillar 1, image and name. And then after the sort of, I guess, the title page for the pillar, then you would go into the description of the pillar. So I would say you use 2 to 3 sentences to describe what your core ideologies are, and they can kind of serve as a really good sort of I guess like an in-depth read on what those pillars are, because again, people like to take their own sort of spin off the things that you say, and everyone has different interpretations of who you are. So if I said, oh, I'm really about community, that could mean anything. So really unpacking what community means to you is going to be important for people understanding your core artist ideology or your core creator ideology, and the things that you align with and your overall foundations as a creator. So yeah, just 2 to 3 sentences here, and you'll do the same thing with each pillar, and up to 4. And then you go into a slightly more comprehensive section. So I call it the album vision board, but it can also be the campaign vision board, or the content vision board, whatever you think kind of works best for where you are at within your own sort of creative journey. So this expresses the album's tone, concept, look, and feel. So again, replace album with campaign or content, depending on where you are or what you're doing. So it would have the album title. What are you calling this body of work? And then it will go into your album log line, which would be 2 to 3 sentences describing this collection, or this campaign. The overall sound description, what is the mood of your project or campaign, and what are the color palettes that we should consider if if we're working with you as a creator. What are the visual references, photos that express what you want to convey through the music? Now, with visual references, I would use them again. I think I said previously, as the backdrop and the background to each of your slides. So, in a lot of the album vision boards that I've done, or brand Bibles that I've done with this section, I haven't kind of put together a page of images. I've just used the entire brand Bible to convey um, the overall visual identity of the project. And then I'll go into the key sort of focus tracks. So again, if you're not doing an EP or an album, this might not apply, but what are the lead singles and the focus tracks of this project? And maybe if it was a campaign or a sort of a series of content, I would say, what are the key pieces of content that people should focus on when they kind of come to your page? We're going to sort of the video log line. So I would break down, using the focus tracks, I'd break down what are the music video synopsises for each track. And then artist community. So what artists share similar vibes, sounds, looks with you, and who can you see yourself featured on a tour with? So I think that's something that's really important as well. Then I'll go into album goals. So what are the sort of team partner or label directives for your project, campaign, or album? So what are you trying to achieve with what you're trying to do, essentially? So that might be, I'm really trying to connect with an international audience, or I'm really trying to connect specifically with women. Whatever your core goals and overall, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to accomplish with your project? I think those things are really important to figure out. Even being an influencer or a creator on a platform, it's like, what are your key goals? It could be make lots of money. That's an honest goal, but it's something that people should understand, because it's going to change the types of content that you do, whether or not you do you do something that's like a slow build, or you do something that's like more of a quick exchange. That's going to be based on what your goal is as a creator. I'm just going to have a sip of water. Just give me a second. So yeah, those goals are just going to be really important in terms of how you navigate your creative ecosystem, what types of fans that you're going to end up connecting with. It's going to be based on what your goals are as a creator. So moving on, you've got your album sound. So define where your music and sound sits within the artistic ecosystem. So I don't necessarily believe in boxing your music, but I do think that you're going to need some key indications of the type of direction that you're trying to go in. And that could be anything. And you can also state that, this is quite genre fluid, or this spans across several genres. But I definitely think that having a specific directive about the sound and like the direction that you're going in with your music is going to be really important. And yeah, where does it fit in, essentially? So moving forward to the album focus tracks, what tracks do you particularly want partners to focus on? When I say partners, I mean whether that's like Spotify or Instagram or TikTok or Triller or whatever, or the Floor, whoever you're presenting this to, what tracks do you specifically want them to focus on? So depending on how long the project is, I'll pick up to 3, but that is, again, flexible. And we're going to the track summary. So writing 2 or 3 sentences on what each track is about. I think this is something that, again, I'm putting my artist manager hat on for a second, but a lot of the time artists don't know what their music is really about, and also they don't think it matters. And people take their own interpretations of the music, and they unpack it, and then it'll come up somewhere in an interview, someone will ask you, and then you kind of like spew this really random story about a night in the studio. And I think understanding what your music is about is really important. People will make their own interpretations of your music. That's just what people do, and people want to find their own way to connect with it. But if people are going to connect with you, understanding why you create the music that you do, why you make the decisions that you do, why you chose to create in this sort of way is going to be really important. So I think anyone that works with you can create their own interpretation of your tracks, but a track summary is also really helpful to know the foundations of the work that they're going to partner with you on. So I think, yeah, the sort of key themes and overall concepts of the music is going to be really important to demonstrate in any sort of brand Bible. Style mood boards. So this, I've mentioned it before, but I've used for like a style, yeah, like a styling, I guess, like space. I would more choose to represent that on each page, just so that it's continuously reinforced what you align with, what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do. But depending on what your project is, you might want to dedicate a specific page to demonstrating where your style sits within, I guess, the general sort of ecosystem that you operate within. And again, key people that maybe you like the way they look or the way that they've presented themselves, but this would be a page to showcase that. And you can also put links. I would say that you want to keep your brand Bible as what's the word that I'm looking for? You want to keep it as on screen as possible. So you don't necessarily want people to navigate to different pages and then people lose focus. You really want to sort of isolate people's attention and keep them focused on you, what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do. So I would avoid sending people on links, but if that is the only way that you can demonstrate what you're trying to say, then feel free. Then you go on to partner targets. So these ultimately are spaces you want your project to target or be placed alongside. And this is even within the floor, this is what we do. We talk about brands that we align with, people that we would like to work with, artists that we want to reach out to. So this is ultimately the artist community and brand community that you want to fit within, be part of, and associate with. So this page is, again, really great to, it's like your wish list, but it can just be people that you align with and you think, yeah, I really like what they do, I really like what they're saying, I really like how they're saying it, and how can we work together in the future. So I think this is really important for anyone you work with, even if that's a publicist, to see what kind of brands and publications that they can align with you with as well. So, and then we go into the closing page, which is a page to summarize everything that you said before. But again, I'm all about efficiency, and you kind of have to close the circle. So I look at this as like, you know, a whole you. This is you. This is a representation, an overall representation of who you are, your core ideologies, your foundations as a creator. So I would use this page to completely summarize. You said it at the beginning. Now let's say it at the end. Let's consolidate the information that you've given people. So I'll put 2 to 3 sentences summarizing the album, the project, or the campaign. And then I'll put your 4 core ideologies that you spoke about at the beginning, and then your 4 campaign or album goals that we also spoke about at the beginning. And this will just be the page to sort of consolidate everything that you've said, outline anything that maybe you haven't said, and really make sure that people have a firm understanding of who you are, what your narrative is, what your core goals are, what your mission is, and your message as a creator. So I think this is the last page. So I'm going to come out of that and go back. Yeah, that's the last page where I stop sharing technology. So yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. I couldn't see your comments, but thank you. I'm glad I wasn't speaking too fast. Yeah, I just think that overall, connecting with your fans is about understanding who you are, where you intend to go, what your mission is, what your objectives are, what you're trying to what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do with your creativity. So I think that something that a lot of people don't think about is who they are or what their goals are or they um, what they truly are here to do. I think we get caught up in the day to day and the hustle and bustle. Or, oh, should I post a reel or should I post a TikTok or should I post a feed? Or should I post my reel to my feed? Should I do a Q&A? How do I do a Q&A? Should I go on live? Should I not go on live? So a whole bunch of stuff and it's a lot of noise. And a lot of creators get anxious and very panicked, not knowing what to do, where to go, what's going to sort of ignite the most engagement. And ultimately, it's about being true to who you are. A lot of people don't necessarily know what that is. They're trying to be a lot of things. I think really understanding what your overall mission is as a creator is going to be really important in terms of connecting with your fans. And we're in a space where fans connect mostly with authenticity. As an audiences, we've been fed so much like propaganda, so much media, so much nicely packaged things. We really want to look for something that's real, something that's honest, something that's true, especially when we go on social media. Something that I actually took it out of my presentation because it was slightly outdated, but I will still go back to it. Kim Kardashian. People have lots of different opinions on her and who she is and the way she's done what she's done. But the reason she has so many people following her, engaged with her life, is because she showed them what they believe to be an authentic version of who she was. And she gave them an insight into her life and to her world. And that kind of took the form of many different things like MTV Cribs, and now people do their house tours on YouTube. It's definitely part of the same path, and people want to be let into people's worlds, and that's more for insight. That's for comparison. People want to compare themselves to other people. People want to find something that they can connect with you, and they might not be able to connect with buying like a £10,000 Gucci bag or something like that, but they can connect with what you ate this morning, where you're trying to go in your journey, what you're trying to accomplish, the things you're trying to do, who you are, what you're trying to do as an individual. I think it's really important. And I think I can go around in circles talking about what that is, but how we choose to kind of move forward with that as creators, how we choose to make content with our audience for our audiences is going to be based on those things, and how much they can connect with our audiences is going to be based on how authentic, how much of you that you've poured into it, how much authenticity you've poured into your content. So I think that kind of takes me to the end of my presentation. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to ask, but if you follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just at Kaiya Milan. So as you see my name here, and you follow me, send me a message, and I will send you the Brand Bible template. And I just really want to make sure that you all obviously take something from this, and if there's anything that you need, I can definitely help out. So thank you so much, guys. I don't know how we want to end this, guys. Abby, are there any questions? No? All right, cool. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Again, please do message me and communicate with me. I will respond, and have a lovely rest of your evening. See you.